All right, psychology pile, a little bit more than the previous one. Here's Kieran Egan's Romantic Understanding the Development of Rationality and Imagination, ages 8 to 15. I have a few books by Kieran Egan. One in particular related to this book is his... Oh no, what's it called? I've lost it. The Educated Mind. I read The Educated Mind, and he does a tour of his, is it 3 or 4 different understandings? So this is the romantic one, 8 to 15, but before that there's fantasy, I think, and then there's a philosophical one. I can't remember when, I don't remember the years now, but anyways, I thought it was free, and I guess this is, I don't know if this comes before or after The Educated Mind. It must be before. I think The Educated Mind was recent. So this must just be more in depth about what he's talking about for romantic understanding, ages 8 to 15. Here's Howard Gardner. Intelligence Reframed. You may know Howard Gardner. He's a multiple intelligence guy. I guess an updated book for the 21st century. Updating his movement, or not really a movement, but let me just see when this was written. 99. Oh, so not really. 99. He's not even in the 21st century. He wasn't even writing this in the 21st century. Okay, Emerging Minds, The Process of Change in Children's Thinking by Siegler. Let me just see when this was written. This was 96. I'm interested in the process of change, actually, in children's thinking, because that's what we want to do in education. We do want them to see different perspectives and not get locked in too early. I have a book from the library called Wheels in the Head by Joel Spring. It's actually a really good tour of educational philosophy. And I think the wheels in the head metaphor is actually really, really fascinating. You could think of certain ideas in your head as becoming or as part of your fundamental decision making and your fundamental look or perspective on, let's say, politics is an easy one, or even religion. Maybe that's an easier one. If you think a certain way about religion, maybe you have strong or weak beliefs in a deity or no belief in a deity, as well as your purpose on earth connected to that. That is a wheel in your head, right? Politics. If you think a certain way, such as the state is wonderful, let's have more taxes, dollars spent by the state or dollars given to the community is great. My life is for the purpose of the government and the group, and whatever abilities I have, I must work towards making all kinds of wealth, not for my own benefit, but for the benefit of society and humanity. If you think that way, if you're a socialist essentially, then that's a wheel in your head. So when a new political idea comes up, like whether we should have city busing, whether taxpayers should pay for city busing or subsidize city busing, if you're a socialist, the wheel in your head is going to crank out yes. But if you're not, then if you are think that political liberty, democracy is important, because then the common person has political power versus in other scenarios a person does not. That purpose of a person's life is what they make of it. That they're here on earth for their own happiness. That to pursue that, then that's a wheel in your head, and that will. For the answer to the city busing, you would say no. So I just think that's really interesting about wheels in the head. And so this book will perhaps, if I read it this way, will talk about the process of creating wheels to be in your head. So, and then if you're open-minded, you have no wheels in your head. And so you just don't, your ideas change day to day. You don't commit to anything. You might not even commit to violence being wrong. You might say, well, violence is necessary. Sometimes I may have to attack someone someday and initiate force and aggress on someone someday. But if you're closed-minded, then your wheels would be stuck and not moving, and you wouldn't really be learning much anymore. But perhaps the dichotomy is a false one. Perhaps one can be an active-minded person. Anyways, I think this will be a good one. That's probably the best one of the pile. Here's a book on neuroscience. I don't have any on neuroscience, so that's why I have this one. Cognitive neuroscience is a little bit of a fad today. It generates a lot. I guess this is neuropsychology. It's not. It's like neuroscience and psychology. It's an emerging market. I think it's the best way to put it in academia. It pulls a lot of money because people think that there might be gold to be found in the hills, so to speak. But we'll see in time. In 50 years of neuroscience, we'll see what actually comes out of it. Here's a book on Jean Piaget, developmental psychologist from France. He's probably the most well-known developmental psychologist from history. And this John H. Flavell guy, I actually had this book in my master's, and to have it for free is fantastic. So I have now a book on Jean Piaget, because I don't think I have one on him specifically. I have a book by Kieran Egan on Dewey, Herbert Spencer and Piaget. But to have one fully on Piaget is great. And for free, it's even better. Nature's Mind, The Biological Roots of Thinking, Emotion, Sexuality, Language, and Intelligence by Michael Gazzaniga. I think this is more of a biology book, but anyways, I don't know how it might be a little bit old, but anyways, it's worth having. Gifted Children by Ellen Winner. Myths and Realities. I thought this would be nice to have. For as far as I know, I guess as far as I know, gifted kids are often portrayed as being really good at some things and then actually lower than average in others. Like it's like a zero-sum game. Is if you're really smart in one thing, if you're above average in one thing, then you're below average in something else. I'm hoping that this book considers that a myth. There it is, Myth and Realities. And I just wonder whether there are some gifted children, that's not just a subjective label, that are above average in everything. So we'll see if that's possible, if that is possible for humans to have. Here's another psychology, the role of interest in learning and development. So I'm very interested in the role of interest because I think that's fundamental to education. If kids aren't interested, then you got a problem. And the interest can come in many ways. They can come in unethical ways and ethical ways. And one unethical way, you don't always have to be. There's a giant prejudice in education today that kids have to have fun learning. They don't. They just have to be interested. And you see what I mean now about unethical and ethical. You can learn a lot if you're afraid. That's an unethical way of learning, but it does pique your interest. You'll be very cautious and very alert if you are in a situation where you have to know something or you get hurt or something, right? Or there's a danger ahead and you have to know how to do a process to prevent injury, like if you're running a machine or something, a heavy-duty machine. So interest does not mean enjoying it or having fun. Okay, and this is Words, Thoughts, and Theories by Gopnik and Meltzoff. Oh, when was this? I guess this was in my early masters. I was interested in developmental psychology. I was interested in Gopnik's work because of her book called Scientists in the Crib, which is a fantastic book about babies and their learning and how much they pick up while they're kids, especially picking up language. How hard is it for adults to learn language, and yet kids just pick it up, automatic. All the babbling they do is like a language probe. They actually, as they babble and get responses from adults who often baby talk to them too, their ears actually tune their sounds, and they start to. There's different sounds of the letter A that different cultures have, and eventually you get tuned out to certain ones. Same with like the whole Chinese. Was it R and L? Chinese, like main. What's it called? Like main. mainland China, R and L, they don't hear the difference. Stuff like that, all is done by childhood. And so I am very happy to have another one of their books. Boundaries of the Mind, the Individual in the Fragile Sciences, Cognition. So this is textbook. And last one, another by Kieran Egan, Primary Understanding. So here's another one. This is Education in Early Childhood. Well, I don't know if this was... No, this isn't one of his understandings. This must just be a book on early childhood. So ECE stuff. ECE movement. Before kids go to school, they're often in daycare or something, and they're babysat. And so preschool, pre-K kind of thing, those people want to be recognized as being ECEs, early childhood educators, and so they want to gain that. They want to become a profession. This is kind of a new thing. So this is part of that education in early childhood. What can you do to prepare your kid for school? There's a concept called school readiness, which is in academia. They measure kids' school readiness and all that. So this is just more research on pretty much what parents can do with their kids so that they are ahead of the pack in school and have a better experience in school and can deal with the school kind of thing. Okay, that's it for new books for June.